Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Jackie and Stephana again, back here with another 5 to 5:30. What do we call this? I changed the
Live at
name.
5.
We're calling it Live at 5 right now. I don't know what we've been calling it, but here to help you guys and help us walk through this COVID-19 crisis while we're on these stay-at-home orders, which I hear all kinds of stuff that it may be extended. Then I hear that they're making plans of how to release us. That sounds crazy to say that, but we just don't know how long we're going to be in here. So we got to make the most of it. We got to not just survive this thing physically, but also relationally, we got to survive it as well as come out thriving. So we're not going to just survive, we're going to thrive. So we want to do our part and help. So let me get some things in order over here on Facebook. If you're joining us for the first time, let us know. Say, hey, what's up? Let us know your name and where you're joining us from. If you already been here, just give us a nod, whatever. What's up? Say whatever you normally say to us to get it rolling while we get situated over here. All right. Let me make sure we are live. Live? You see it?
Yep.
All right, cool. All right. We are live. And I'm chewing gum today. So if I get to smacking on the gum, somebody just tell me slow down. It ain't going nowhere. All right. So join us live. I hope everybody's having a good day. It's a little breezy outside here, but it's sunny, which is a great thing. I see a little bit of clouds coming, but let me type this. I can't type and talk.
Pastor Colby, glad you're here.
What's up, brother?
We made it.
We made it. All right, cool. Let me share that there. All right, guys. So we are talking about communication breakdowns in marriage, which every single couple has, some more than others, some worse than others, but we all have it. So we all need to get better at these, at communicating and not get to the point where we break down as much or as severe, because some of them are for real. So let me close this real quick. Awesome. Welcome, everybody. Let us know that you're here. And if you haven't yet, I don't know where you're watching this from. We've shared it all over the place. But if you haven't joined our group, Happily Married Couples, make sure you join our group and just put Happily Married Couples in the search bar. Don't just like the page, but make sure you click and join the group. Two separate things. We have a page and a group. We communicate most frequently in the group, and that's where it all goes down. That's where these conversations start, and we want to keep it going. So communication breakdowns.
We know a little something about it.
We know something about that?
We know a little something about it.
I don't know.
We haven't mastered it, though. I will say that.
Yeah. So we're still working on that. All right. Sorry, guys. I got to see both. All right. So now I'm up here. I can see you monitoring comments, babe.
Yep.
All right. So it's been a busy week for us. And typically when we get busy or we have major projects or major blessings on the horizon, or we're working on something big, that's when it gets tough, you know, and every marriage, that's where what you go through as well. And we get to that point where we're like, we focus more on what we're doing and not focus on each other and serving each other as much. And I lost my train of thought as I was looking at different screens. Hold on, I got too much going on. Let me move that there. All right. And so communication is lacking, and we wherever it's at, we break down. So today we want to talk about that. And those are our hardest times whenever we're getting ready to go into something big, or whenever a lot is going on, and we seem to lose focus. So today we're going to talk about a communication breakdown that we recently had, and which has impacted us coming here and sharing with you guys. So we like, okay, we might as well talk about it. All right. So who's ready to talk about some communication breakdowns?
I'm ready.
All right. So let me ask this first before we get rolling. Hey, April, let us know in the comment section where you think your communication in your marriage breaks down most frequently. Say, okay, we usually break down when we're here, or when we have this type of discussion. Is it around a certain discussion? Is it around in a certain atmosphere? Is it around other people? Is it around a certain time of the season, the year, the month, whatever? Let us know where you think your communication breaks down?
Because it's really good to identify it. That can help you overcome it in some ways, at least be prepared for it, and kind of understand what's happening when it breaks down. I think that we have kind of recognized in different seasons when communication becomes challenged. It used to be whenever we were going out of town, anywhere, whether it was a road trip or flying somewhere, it was difficult to get ourselves there without having a communication breakdown. So that was one that we identified and kind of worked through.
Yeah, we would get caught up by that common, pretty much a regular occurrence.
Right.
And it would sneak up on us every single time, and it didn't make sense until we did it enough, and we're like, oh my goodness, what in the world is going on? Hey, what's up, Steve and Debbie
Wilson?
So we would glad you guys joined us. We get stuck and we'd have that issue, and then we get there and we push through it, and then we finally realize, okay, this is a common, I guess, I don't know what it is, activity or whatever that we're doing.
Yeah, it's just recognizing it so that you can be prepared for it, try to be prayerful before it, get ahead of it, so that it doesn't, like Jackie said, it doesn't either happen or it doesn't happen as big as it normally does.
Yep. And our goal, and what communication usually happens, it can blow up into an argument, complete disconnect, separation, whatever it may be. But we want to progress in our communication. So we want to find out, okay, where we are and how to get better, because the ultimate goal of our communication is to be able to have regular, what we call truth and love conversations, where we can be truthful with our spouse, even when we know we may have differing opinions. They may not want to hear that from us at the point, but we can say it in a loving manner where at the end of that conversation, we come out better than we went into the conversation.
Yeah.
So today we're going to break down the 5 depths of communication. And we hope in sharing this that you guys will kind of see and look at your communication as you're talking, as you're listening to us, and see, okay, where we are and where we typically fall, and then find out, are we progressing through that, or do we commonly get stuck right here? And if you got stuck right there, now you've identified it. Now it's time to figure out a way to go deeper in that.
So in the comments, we have April says, my issue, not our issue, I own it. That's big girl. Is when I need something from my hubby, but I am not able to communicate it. I get selfish and don't want to have to ask for it. Been there. Gotcha. Kind of like you want them to understand or see your need, but if you haven't communicated that expectation, I agree that it's unfair to have it. Pastor Colby said breakdowns occur when handling money, being under stress, when we forget to view each other as being on the same team. Yep. Good.
Yep. We experienced that recently. It wasn't necessarily over money, but around money.
Yeah.
And taxes and FAFSA applications and all kinds of stuff. That was a part of our breakdown. But let's go through, what's up, Delonis? Bo and Didi. I don't know which one, if it's both of y'all, one of y'all, but we're glad y'all here talking about the 5 depths of communication. So for those that just joined or kind of missed this part, let us know. We're going to go through 5 depths of communication, and we want you guys to be able to, we're going to help you to be able to identify where you most commonly break down. So tell us what you think in the comment section, where your most common or most frequent communication breakdown happens.
Yeah. Thanks, Colby and April, for sharing.
Yep.
That's real, and we can relate to both.
hidden right there where it hurts.
At home.
All right. So while you guys are doing that in the chat, say this. All right. So 5 depths of communication. Here's the way we're going to break this down. Again, we want to get to the point where we're having truth and love conversations, being able to share truthfully things that may not always come across or may not be received well by your spouse, but do it in a loving manner. Where you're not come busting them in the mouth with it and trying to hurt them, but know that, hey, this is a loving manner. This is something I'm bothered with. What's up, Didi? This is something that I want to talk about. We need to handle. All right. So to get there, you have to get beneath the surface. A lot of our communication is surface or level or above.
Yeah.
So to get deep in your communication, get truth and love communication and regular talks, you got to get beneath the surface. So that's where we're going to break this down. So the 5, we're starting at 5, we're going down to 1. 1 is going to be where we want to get to. So number 5 is common communication. So in common communication, that is exactly what it says. That is common communication where you can have it with anybody on the face of this earth. You can have it with your spouse. You can have it with the dude you cross in the grocery store. You can have it with the person who's standing 6 feet away from you because you can't get no closer than COVID-19. Common communication. So what does that communication look like? That looks like, hey, how you doing? What's up? It could be nonverbal communication, a wave. But this is something that is not deep at all. It is a something that you say in pat. It's a nod when you see somebody walking down the street and you're walking towards them and they're walking towards you. That's the basics of common communication.
Mhm.
You have that with everybody. Now, some people are in a point in their marriage where common communication don't even happen, and we've all been there where we ain't even speaking to each other. Common communication is at least that we are speaking and saying hi and cordial and things like that. All right, but we got to get deeper than that. If you're stuck in that part of your marriage right now, hopefully it's not been a while. We've been there. Something happens and, we didn't handle the communication the right way. And so now we are stuck and not saying nothing at all, passing.
Where the tension is, you can cut it.
So thick, you can cut it. The kids are noticing it. The kids are going and asking each other about the other person and what's wrong with mommy, what's wrong with daddy. They know it and we see it.
Speaking of, our youngest today asked us, y'all gonna have your meeting, your 5 o'clock meeting?
Is this the time that we come together and talk to y'all, but also talk to one another? So it's like, if that ain't happening, because
something's wrong.
It's now a commonplace for them. We've been doing it for 3 or 4 weeks now. So it's like, all right, that's what they do. All right. So 5th level, that's the up above the surface. That is common communication. All right. What's the number 4, baby?
Next one is nightly news. So that's just basically reporting the facts. That's when you come home and you talk about how your day was. Nothing major, just again, something you can pretty much talk to anybody about and not have to feel like you're going deep.
Yeah.
You're just reporting.
Yeah. You're reporting the news. Basically at 5, 6 o'clock every night, what happens? There's the news comes on and it's reporting what happened if it's local news, what happened in the local area that you live in. If it's national news, what's happened today. So you're just telling this information. You're not going any deeper. You're not giving any feelings. It's more than just walking in and saying hi and going about your business or, hey, what's up or whatever. Right. How was your day? Because even how was your day is a common communication thing. Because a lot of times we say that and we ain't staying around mentally or focused enough to hear the answer to it. But nightly news is like, okay, here's what happened at work today, or here's what happened at school with the kids, or
business.
It's kind of family business. Here's what money we spent today. It could be that. But this is basically a simple recap that, again, you can tell your kids, your spouse, you can tell somebody else who cares about. Some people will tell the nightly news to everybody. The dude in the store that's 6 feet from you because you can't go closer than that. They'll tell them about them too. But nightly news is that what it's called? Yeah, nightly news is where we're sharing those facts. Right. So now here we are where 5 is common communication. 4 is nightly news, where we're just reporting these facts and what's happening in our day. And now we're getting right at the surface. So we're not below the surface. We're right at surface level now when we get to number 3. And number 3 is cautious disclosure. So you say it again, cautious disclosure, keyword, cautious. So that is where you've gone past sharing facts, what happened. I seen this, I witnessed that. Somebody called me or somebody did that. The kids went here and went there. Now you're like, okay, you're starting to share those feelings. You start to share, this happened, this is how I felt about it.
Right.
Whether that's something between you or something that happened at work or outside of your relationship. This went down, this is what I felt about it. This is my thoughts about it. So what do you think about that?
I think that's a safe zone. That's like, I can talk about something with you, but I don't have to take any risk in it. I can just have this little bit of letting you into my world, but I'm not going to go too far.
Yeah. And just, this is where I think we break down most in our relationship is cautious disclosure. Because here's how it kind of looks. You're sharing something with your spouse. And as you're sharing, maybe you're sharing something, it might not be super deep, but you're starting to reveal a little bit inside you of your mind and your heart and what's going on. And as you do that, you're watching them and listening to them and their reactions. So you're watching body language. Is he or she receiving this? We know our spouse. We know when they're focused and listening in on us and when they're not, when something rubs them the wrong way. So we're kind of watching that and seeing what happens. Or we're listening to the words that may come back. Maybe there's a certain trigger word or a keyword that first comes and you're like, oh, they ain't really feeling that. So, okay, so now we're at surface level. And then instead of going deeper beneath the surface, we would draw back. So we're being cautious. We're disclosing feelings, thoughts. But once we recognize that they ain't really feeling this or receiving this, or we're a little fearful of sharing the depth of it, then we go back and we don't share any more of that. So as you can see, you get to that point and you're stuck and you're like, okay, if you can't get past that, you can never get to truth and love. And you're going to limit the ability for you to have a true connection in your marriage, because you're not going to get to those conversations and get to the real depth of your heart and then get to the depth of your spouse's heart and in their mindset as well. So we got to figure out how to get to that. All right. So let me know where you, hey, what's up, Frankie? What's up, Nicole? Ada's here. Glad everybody's joining us. So in the comments, let us know so far, 1, 2, or 3, just say, or I'm sorry, 5, 4, 3, 5, common communication, 4, nightly news, 3, cautious disclosure. Of those 3, which do you spend the most time at? Not necessarily break down at, but which makes up of those 3 most of your conversation? We'll wait for that.
With your spouse.
With your spouse. Yeah, we're focusing on spouse right now. But what do you think? Where do we spend most of our time? And you may be, I'm gonna say this real quick while she's thinking of that. You may be different than your spouse. You might have a spouse that's common communication, and that's it. And then you might be the one that's always telling the facts. So what do you think?
I think for us, it is probably a little different. I think that you just said you think we spend most of our time in cautious disclosure, or that's the place where we get challenged.
Yep.
I think that I spend most of my words in common communication.
So you're just a.
Yeah, there's not much. I feel like the conversation between us is more dominated by you, and there's.
Are you saying I talk a lot?
No, it's not that you talk a lot, but there's very little capacity for you to hear me. There's more capacity for you to. You're full with what is going on in your own mind. So. Yeah.
So I will agree. I think I spend most of my time is nightly news, where I'm a thinker, and been working a lot by myself for the past several years. So I'm always got ideas and always doing stuff. And so when I get out of that sometimes, or when I have my moments where I just thoughts are flooded, I kind of want to release those. And sometimes she ends up being the person.
Nicole asked us to define them again. So 5, 4, 3.
All right. So real quick recap. We're going through the depths of communication, starting at 5, trying to get all the way to 1, which is truth and love. We'll reveal that in a minute. But what we, each one
is a level deeper in your communication.
So 5 is the most shallow. It's the furthest away from the surface. All right. And that's common communication. That's like what you would do to somebody in the store. Hey, hi, how you doing? Just basic greetings, basic words to cross somebody's path. Nothing deep at all. Nightly news, and really not sharing anything. Nightly news, and you can have that with anybody. Nightly news is where you are starting to share kind of the facts, just like the news at night. You get facts, what happened today in Indianapolis, what happened today in Detroit, what happened today in North Carolina, wherever you're at, or national news. Here's what happened today. It's just one of you or both of you sharing their day, things that happen. No feelings really, no real depth, no real thoughts about it. All right. Then you get to, what are we at? 3. 3 is cautious disclosure. And that's where you're starting to share a little bit, not just facts and things that happen, but how you feel about them, what you thought about them, feeling, what's really, you're revealing yourself around whatever conversation you're having. All right. And then it's called cautious disclosure because you're kind of watching for their feedback. Reaction. That's nonverbal, that's verbal. And you're cautiously sharing a little bit, maybe here, a little bit there. Or maybe you go right in, but you see the reactions like, that ain't a favorable reaction. I'm backing out. I ain't going through the rest of it. So that's the surface right there. All right. So somebody said 3, cautious disclosure. Of those 3, and we're talking about where do you spend the most time of those 3. 3, we'll get a little bit lower. And then, all right. What's up, Joe? Thank you for joining us. All right. So somewhere between nightly news and cautious disclosure. I think that will be us too. That's me for sure.
Nightly news, not common. What'd I say? Common communication.
You were just like, hi. Like we sitting up in the house quarantine and all she is seeing me and say, hey, we having no conversations. Pray for us, y'all.
We do need it for real.
All right. So somewhere between nightly news and cautious disclosure. I think we're there too. I am the one that blah, 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 more than she is. As you can see, I talk most even on here. And then I get to some of the thoughts and feelings behind some of that. And I'm watching her feedback. And I always say that I've said this for the longest with her. I don't know if she believes me or not, but I can tell exactly what's going through her head by just looking at her face, good, bad, or whatever. And so there'll be sometimes she'll have a deep thought or a hurtful thought, and it might not be anything to do with me. And I walk in the room, I'm like, what's up, babe? she's going to probably say nothing at first and then finally share after I realize it's more than nothing. Am I kind of accurate about that?
Yeah, I wear my feelings on my sleeve. So there's a t-shirt I saw somewhere. I was like, I need that t-shirt. It says, if my mouth doesn't say it, my face will. So that's me.
Hold on, I got to share this. There used to be, I always tease her when she was really upset, a little bitty dimple or whatever that comes right here above her eyebrow. And I see that and I'll be like, something done went down. I'm hoping it ain't me, but I'm cautiously trying to find out what went down. So if I know to retreat real hardcore because it's me, or if it's somebody else, I can engage and kind of help her out with that. So, all right, we got off track. Where are we at?
Number two.
Number two, you got that?
High risk, high reward. So you're taking the big risk, you're pushing through. You may be in this place where you're having communication and you see that the spouse may not be agreeing with you, necessarily giving you the feedback that you want, and you still move forward with the conversation and sharing. So there's a high risk there because you may get hurt. They may get hurt. Whatever it is that has to be communicated may not be the warm, fuzzy feeling, but you know that on the other side of that, there's a high reward that's available if you do press through.
Yeah. It's a risk. The blessing in it is, like she said, once you do, it's you break past the surface. So you go deep. Now you're beneath the surface. You're not as deep as you want to be, but you can live out at high risk, high reward, and the connection of your marriage continue to grow. Right. But what it is, just like anything, if you're investing and you are risking money, if you risk $10, ain't not a whole lot of risk. But with $10, you're probably not going to make a big reward. You're not going to get a big reward, a big return on that investment. You playing the lottery, you hoping, but realistically, all you're going to do is get another lottery ticket or win another lottery ticket that you can do. But if you're investing $1,000 or $100,000 or $1 million, that is a lot of risk. It's a lot of money on the line. But if that investment returns, you're going to get a high reward. And that's where we are right now. So we're sharing that. We're like, okay, I know she might not receive this. He might not receive that. Or I might get just the worst lashing ever for what I'm going to say, because it's bothering me, but it's truth, but I got to share it. And then you're seeing that. And now here you are, and you're having that conversation. It don't always end up you walking away feeling good when you get to the high risk, high reward. But the breakthrough of getting beneath the surface and getting some stuff in your relationship out is great. But this is where we get to the next level, the lowest levels. We got to do it in a different way. So as we're there, Nicole said, I wear everything on my face. I love this. So tell us right now with 5, 4, 3, and 2, can you relate to these? Can you see in your communication with your husband or wife where you guys are, and it's like, okay, now, and see it enough where when you're having the conversations, you can recognize where you are? Because that helped me when I first learned this. We learned this from Dr. Dennis Rainey of Family Life in a book that he wrote years ago. And we've been sharing it in some of our talks and teachings and things like that. And now we're with the Family Life team, so we get to teach it as part of Family Life, which is cool. But when I first learned about it, I was like, oh man, it makes so much sense. It's like, here's where we are and here's our breakdowns. And we gotta get beneath the surface. And how do we do that? And here's the blessing when we do get beneath the surface. All right. So Doris give us three hearts. Hey, what's up, Keisha?
Hey, Keisha.
Nicole said all of it. You can relate to all of it. All right. So now here we go. And we're 5, 4, 3 at the surface, break through the surface. We're at 2, which is high risk, high reward conversation. Now we're at truth and love conversations.
That's
so
good. That's a good place.
This is the good stuff right here. And it, just to be real,
it's hard. It's hard to get there.
It's hard. And I don't know that every couple gets there. If they do get there, not every couple lives there where they're regularly having conversations like that. This is, of course, even more risky, but I think the risk is mitigated to a degree because now you're sharing in a way where you're taking every precaution you can, one, to share the truth with your spouse. And let's think of conversations that are like, okay, I'm telling Stephana something that bothered me about what she did. All right. Or I'm telling Stephana something that I did that I know she's not going to be happy about, that could impact our family, our money, or whatever it may be. And her reaction and how that's going to be. So we got to share it in a way that is gracious, share it in a way that is kind, share in a way that is not judgmental. We're not coming and busting each other in the mouth with this truth or this deep hurt or pain or potential, whatever it could be. But love is patient, love is kind. We're thinking about things like that as we go through and share this information and the conversation back and forth. So you can share it like that, but your spouse may not always react like that. Mm-hmm. So that's why when we're both sharing it in a way that I'm sharing this because I love you and I want our relationship to be better with that perspective and having that understanding as well. What were your thoughts on that? What am I missing?
I don't think you're missing anything. I think that's, like I said, I think it's a difficult place to get to. And I feel like it's like a muscle. It's something that if you don't continue to work on your communication, then you just, like you said, may not ever experience getting to that depth of communication with your spouse. We all hope to be able to be as transparent and truthful and loving with our spouse as we can be, but it's not easy. It's not easy to risk, the pain and the rejection and the hurt feelings, the disagreement. Sometimes it even is just like, I just don't feel like it. Like, right. I just don't have the energy to put into it. So you halt the communication depth by just saying, I'm not going to put the energy into it. So I think we have to recognize that it does take some effort and some intentionality, and you're going to have to work at it to get better at it.
Yeah. It is definitely a muscle. Every one of these depths of communication is a muscle. And the thing is, when you use it, when you risk, you build that muscle. But at the same time, for those of you who work out and know what it means to weight train and build muscle, you break down the muscle first. So there's going to be some breakdowns in your communication. There's going to be some breakdowns in your relationship, mm-hmm. but that's where we have the opportunity to build it back up. Right. One thing that I think for me needs to happen for us to remain at truth and love is to share whatever it is in a way that builds her up versus tearing down. So I could be sharing the truth about something that I feel that she didn't do right, or something I'm disappointed in, or whatever it may be. But if I come at her and I'm tearing her down about it, instead of like, okay, here, I want to build you up. I want to build us up and bring us closer together. That is that muscle that has to be continued to work on. And there's no magic formula to that. It's just having a conversation. I coach youth sports. I can tell you all the stuff in the world, but until you get out there and do it, and you do it over and over again and do it over and over again, you're still going to struggle with it. Right. So that's where we are right there. So I want to read this real quick before we shut down, because we're already past 5:30. I mentioned that 1 Corinthians 13, this is the love is the verse about love. Mm-hmm. So as we're thinking about truth and love, this is how our conversation needs to be and be cloaked in when we're sharing. I feel like we're way away from the mic when we're sharing our conversations like this. All right. Mm-hmm. So love is patient. So we got to be patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. So we aren't envious of, something that happened or something that our spouse did or whatever. It does not boast. So we're not going into that conversation boasting and bragging and puffing ourselves up, being prideful. It's not proud. It does not dishonor others. So we're not going to dishonor one another when we have that truth and love conversation, because there are some truths that could be dishonorable. So we have to find out a way to share this in an honorable way. All right. It's not self-seeking. So we're not doing it for, again, pride for our own self. It's not easily angered. So that means that it's going to be emotional, but we can't be easily angered. It's not saying we won't get angry, but love is not easily angered. So we got to figure out a way to, like, okay, let me step back. Let me pause this. Maybe it's a technique of, let's pause this conversation and come back to it later when we've calmed down, or in a different scenario or a different, situation. It keeps no record of wrongs. So that is the thing. It's like, that's like bringing up the past, or like every time they do something, we keeping a tally. We talk about with our kids, let's catch them doing something right. We're always catching. It's easy to catch them doing something wrong. Feel like they always doing something wrong, but let's make a habit of catching them doing something right. So let's not track the wrongs that our spouse did, and let's not have these conversations around those. And it says, love does not delight in evil, but rejoices in the truth. So when the truth comes out, when we do share the truth, that is a joyful occasion. We got to rejoice in that. And, a lot of times we get mad about it and frustrated about it, or we don't want to receive it because it cuts. And sometimes it's hard for us to receive the truth about ourselves or about our marriage. So we got to rejoice when that truth comes out of us. Okay, great. She shared the truth with me. Praise the Lord. How do we handle this truth? I share the truth with her. Praise the Lord. Let's have joy. How do we handle that?
Good. Yep.
So let me see. Y'all talking over here. Let's jump in the comments real quickly before we get out of here. Dee Dee said all of them are real and valuable to the relationship. Every day and every level matters. Often one needs more than the other, and this changes for both daily. Truth, so to speak, quick to listen, so to get angry. My daily workout. That'll get you strong right there, because that is hard to do, especially if you have any, if you like to talk just a little bit. Slow to speak is hard. Hey, thanks, Frankie. Frankie said you guys are awesome. Regat, is that Regat?
Yeah. Hey,
Awesome.
sis.
Welcome, Regat. Sometimes I don't want to talk on level 1 because usually it means I have to change and be better in an area. That's real.
Yeah.
That's real. Sometimes we don't want to go there because it makes us have to look at ourselves and make some changes.
Yeah.
That's good right there. What's up, Nitra? Glad you joined us. So again, guys, real quick, we're going to recap what we've been talking about. 5 depths of communication, trying to identify what those depths are, what those levels are, and where we spend the most of our time and where we break down most frequently.
Yep.
I think if we can recognize that, where we spend time and where we break down, then we can start to take the next steps. But ultimately, we got to get from common communication to nightly news to cautious disclosure, which is surface level, to high risk, high reward conversations, to ultimately getting to truth and love conversations. And that's the goal. So hopefully this helps you guys. Share. I know somebody needs to hear this. If your spouse wasn't here, share this in a loving way. Don't be like, you need to listen to this, bro, or you need to listen to this girl, whatever it may be. But if it's good for y'all, hopefully it'll be a blessing to your marriage.
Right.
We think it has been a blessing to our marriage. So I believe it'll be a blessing to yours as well. So, all right, we're going to wrap up, you guys. So for those who just joined us, we do these Facebook Lives every Monday through Friday at 5 p.m., sharing something that we've learned, something we're going through. Ultimate goal is to help us not just survive COVID-19, but thrive through it.
Yep.
So when we come out on the other side, our marriages are stronger, our families are stronger, and we're going to be more connected, communicating much better, and celebrating our marriage in ways that we had never done before, y'all. So join the group, like this, share it with your people, and we'll see you guys tomorrow at 5.
See you tomorrow.
Oh, I lost my page.